when I got up to the counter to buy the popcorn, the guy goes, "Are you a DM?" I'm like, "Do I really look?" Thanks.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. What T-shirt were you wearing when you went to go see it?
I think I was just wearing like a Batman T-shirt. So like,
That'll do it.
They didn't have any Cheez-Its or cheese puffs.
welcome everybody to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, the chaotic neutral halfling thief, here with my band of merry adventurers. We got James. How you doing, James?
I'm good. Although I'm wearing blue, I represent the Red Robe Wizards. True neutrality, not your halfling thief ass neutrality.
Yeah, where's the tattoos, man?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
All right, and of course we got Mike. Mike is not really telling anybody what he is. He's the dungeon master, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I do want to give a shout out to the fellows behind me, though, for stepping up in this week's Mandalorian and kicking some ass.
Spoilers! Spoilers. By the time when this comes out, it won't be a spoiler anymore.
Please, if you don't know what happened in this week's Mandalorian, you're not watching the show. You know what I mean?
That's right. No, I thought it was a solid usage, but we won't get into that because we don't have that kind of time.
Let's not get into that, man. I miss these days, man. The OG days, man.
All right.
Come on. Somehow Ray Palpatine returned. That's all I need.
Stop. Oh, let's go right into it.
That's definitely gotta be a meme tomorrow. Okay. We are
moving on to the Nerd Fest.
We are talking about Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. It's the new theatrical release movie based on the actual game, the role-playing game that, of course, I spent way too much time on as a kid. And I hear you guys spend a little time doing it as well. So,
this is our safe space. We can admit to freaking not LARPing, just role playing with the board. Yeah,
I never got to LARP. School. I've got good friends who LARPed, but I never got around to it. All right. Anyway, so we're just go right into it. It's really really quick.
And FYI, our audiences and our fans, real quick, don't let Keith fool you. Keith actually partakes. He partook in some of our D&D sessions style games. Don't let him fool you otherwise on social media.
Yeah.
He carried his D20 die to school.
Roll for Constitution check. Your teacher's looking at you weird. All right.
Roll for wisdom whether you did your homework or not.
This wisdom check. All right. So, this was directed and written by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. Now, interestingly, these guys also wrote together Spider-Man: Homecoming, so a little MCU blood there, and wrote and directed Game Night, the comedy movie.
That was funny. I like that one.
Yeah, that was good.
So they got. Obviously, they're hitting base runs, if not home runs, here on all of their movies. I'm really liking their work. All right, so basic plot. It's actually a pretty simple movie, which I really liked, which really worked well for it. Spy turned thief, Chris Pine, assembles a band of fantasy archetypes. We got our barbarian, Michelle Rodriguez. We've got our wizard, Justice Smith, and we've got our druid, Sophia Lilith.
Sorcerer.
I did.
Where did you get wizard a druid? From? Did it say it was wizard? No.
Wasn't he a wizard?
What's his name was not a wizard. No, he was a sorcerer.
I thought he called himself a wizard.
He called himself a wizard, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
We'll get into the differences why when we talk about the plot.
That's right.
No, I know, but going by what he said he called himself a wizard. He said, "I'm just some kind of wizard." And
he was an ancestor of one of the most powerful wizards in Dungeons and Dragons.
I know, but when he was talking about going up against a red wizard or whatever, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
it's some kind of weird.
Now, let's put a pin on this one because I gotta.
Yeah.
We nitpick plot. I'll talk about that. But go ahead, Chris.
Anyway, all right. So they assemble to retrieve Chris Pine's daughter, and a relic that will revive his dead wife from their old teammate and rogue, Hugh Grant. And along the way, they run into some other dangers, some adventure, and let's get right into it. So, I thought from the jump, it may have started off a bit kind of slow with a little bit of backstory. Chris Pine, Chris Pining it up, being very sincere, being very talkative. I, I was surprised there was no twist to the character. Did you guys expect when he first started, he got on screen and he's like, "This is my sob backstory, my dead wife, my daughter, I'm missing." And I was like, "Oh, none of that's gonna be true because he's a thief, he's a rogue, he's gonna no, it's all true, it's all honest. Everybody was telling the truth in this movie." What did you guys think of the general plot overall and the general sincerity of the characters and their backstories and pretty open, interesting, beyond my expectation of what I went in with.
Just sticking with the
Yeah.
main character, Chris Pine. Oh, sorry,
Mhm.
Mike. Go ahead.
No, just real quick. I think I wasn't expecting a twist from Chris Pine's character, and the
Mhm.
fact that we had a twist on Hugh Grant's character.
All right,
I
Mhm.
think
that's my point.
I think we don't want to throw. I think the writers didn't want to throw too many of those into the plot, into the story, right? So
Right. We
Well,
keep
they
it
didn't want to
simple.
M Night Shyamalan
yeah,
it.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. James, what about
Just
you?
to piggyback on what Mike said, I actually was thinking that the twist that Hugh Carey's character had in this was gonna be the Chris Pine's twist. That's what I thought going into the movie. That maybe
Hmm.
halfway through the movie you realize that he really was a dick and he was a douche, he was a thief, and he jeopardized
It's
the campaign,
right.
the group, and then he would come to like a Jesus moment where he had to come and save the group. Which wasn't, it kind of happened that way, but he was never really like the douchebag of the group. He was just, just
I
like all
mean,
the other
his
ones.
he did endanger the group because he was willing to go on dangerous quests with limited information to everybody else, but not because he was actively trying to harm people, but because he was sidestepping possible dangers and just going like, we can do this anyway, right?
Yeah, but I was
So,
thinking he would
mhm,
like Judas Iscariot this, happy post Easter for everyone. That's the
right.
group, and then because of his actions, he would come to regret it, and then trying to find a way to save the team in the third and final act. That's what I thought just seeing the
Mhm.
trailers and knowing Chris Pine for who he was, but that's not what we got.
Yeah, and that really shocked me, and it wasn't the only time the sincerity and really kind of got me. Like the Michelle Rodriguez Barbarian, her when she meets her ex. This is spoilers, everybody. So if you don't want to, know,
Mr. Bradley Cooper himself,
that's
right?
right. Bradley
Oh, that was
Cooper shows up
hilarious.
as a halfling who loves big barbarian women, and they love him back. So yeah, it's she shows up. They have like an honest to goodness like conversation about their relationship, and it's kind of moving. It works really well. And the same thing when that twist near the end or at the end when Michelle Rodriguez is the mother figure to the daughter, who we don't really get to know. That sincerity works in its favor. Whereas I
Yeah.
think if there is a lot of everybody isn't quite who they say they are, or everybody's joking about their feelings, you know, none of that would have landed as well.
Yeah, I gotta say something. I gotta say something about Michelle Rodriguez in this movie
Hmm.
because, like, honestly, like the last few things I've seen her in is like F8, Fast Nine,
Hmm.
and compare those performances to this one. This one, she seemed all in. This was the old Michelle
Oh yeah.
Rodriguez. Like she was happy. It looked like she was having fun on set. She was happy to emote. She was
Hmm.
loving doing
Hmm.
the action. In the Fast series, she just looks like she's just kind of phoning it in now. Like,
Well, I
oh,
mean,
I'm
it,
supposed to be in love with Vin Diesel. but I can't tell by that expressionless look on your face.
Those two, like I've said this before, those two really don't have any chemistry. Her and Vin Diesel in on screen. So in this, her having so much chemistry with Chris Pine, and it being that co-parenting brother sister, whatever you want to call it, relationship, where it's they want nothing that way to do with each other, but they are so in sync with each other and they got each other's back and they're always with each other that way. I thought that was such a an interesting um story choice, which we don't normally get. Normally those two would fall. She'd have a problem with her ex, his wife is dead, they raise a daughter, they get together at the end, that kind of thing. But no.
Yeah. No, it was an interesting choice for sure, and this one actually showed you more that family's just not just who you're related to or who you're
Right.
married to, like what Fast series tries to do, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and this one seemed to me to do better.
Hold on,
Yeah,
real
So
quick.
it
Some little
absolutely
technical
landed.
difficulty. All right. So, Chris, you made a good point about Michelle Rodriguez. In fact, I know you saw the movie before Mike and I did, and you
I
gave
saw it in the
us a
theaters with
great.
8 people.
Yeah, you saw it in the theaters. We saw it too in the theaters.
yeah, we had to settle
You
for
were
the
The
for the
small screen theater.
yeah, we had to settle for the studio DVD screener.
screener's copy. Thank you
Hmm.
very much, production company. And you were harping on the fact that you thought Michelle Rodriguez was the MVP of the movie, and I totally
MVP.
agree with you. Watching her, I've watched her as an actress since like wow, late 90s, going into Lost, before the Fast and Furious campaign really blew
Mm-hmm.
up. And you had a good point. She kind of seems like she's just going through the motions in that franchise, which is the only thing she's really uh, has been performing and acting in these days. But in this movie, I don't know whether the script was perfectly tailored to what she can emote and what she can do. She's also a very physical actress, always was. She played that boxing movie in the early 2000s. But I felt it was a little more beyond just like the physical
Mm-hmm.
performances. I felt like there was some facial stuff that she did with Chris Pine. And let's be honest, other than Gal Gadot, I have yet to see anyone's chemistry work with Chris Pine in any of these movies. Star Trek, you name it. I'm not into
It's
Chris.
true.
He's the bottom of all the Chris's. All the
Wow, you're
Chris's.
going bottom of
Dead bottom for me.
dead
I
bottom.
agree
Wow.
So
with you 100%.
To see Michelle Rodriguez not only perform well in this movie, but in my mind, outperforming everyone else in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a chef's kiss to her in the role. Really quick on another actor. I know he's at the main two that you mentioned, but I did look up the young actor who played the amateur sorcerer, Simone Amor.
Uh,
We've seen him in Detective Pikachu.
Justice
That's where
Smith. Are you talking about Justice Smith?
yes, right? Yeah, he's a Detective Pikachu. He
Yes,
was
Justice
in
Smith is in
Jurassic World:
Detective.
Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. I think he was like the third, like the big three in basketball. You got the 1A, 1B, and then you got like the Chris Bosh guy. I thought his character was a well written character. I thought his acting was pretty well. I think everything that he had to do with the group, with the story, with the action sequences was spot on. Without him in this movie, with just Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez, I don't think I would have given it as high of a rating and ranking if it wasn't for his role also playing off of Chris Pine, playing
Mhm.
off of Michelle Rodriguez.
Well, I think for the
In my opinion,
character, if you went through the main character cast, Chris Pine obviously has the biggest arc biggest thing he's trying to accomplish as a character. Then I would say
Steph
Justice
Curry.
Smith has the second biggest arc as a character. He specifically
That is true.
has to
That is
learn
true.
how to become the wizard or sorcerer or whatever you want to call him.
Yes,
Um,
and that's
in order to
pivotal.
make
Yes,
all
you're
of this
right.
work, it's really important.
yeah,
Whereas Michelle
Draymond
Rodriguez
Green
doesn't at first seem like her character has a big arc, but it's kind of weaved in there. She's less doing
Clay
something.
Thompson.
She's less doing an active thing in with the character, as more of it's kind of happening throughout the story without you because they want that twist at the end of, oh my god, the daughter sees her as the mom character. They don't want to. They don't want too much. Um, they don't want it too front and center because they want that little emotional twist there at the end. Um,
I agree.
I would say, and then Sophia Lillis as the druid. She kind of gets the least amount to do, even though she has
Off the bench, Andrew Wiggins,
even though she has some
Jordan
of the
Poole.
best magic scenes in the movie. I think
Yeah, I
she
mean, her shape shifting stuff was cool. I have some issues with it, but that's plot wise not.
Wait,
right.
I was expecting Chris at some point to talk about production because we know how Chris is about production and score. That was
Oh yeah,
probably
we're
the part of the
definitely the
movie that
most important.
really hooked me into it. Like I was like, buckle up. This is much like up until that moment in the movie, I was just like, going through the motions. Here we go, Chris Pine, blah blah blah. The escape, well,
It
that
was very
backstory, wah wah
dialogue
wah.
heavy at the
With
front.
the but her introduction and then her going through quote unquote her version of Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter, and that sequence of her escaping to me was fantastic. I was like, oh, this is not like the old 2003 whatever Dungeons and Dragons movie. This is something different.
Marlon
That
Wayans.
actually, yeah, that actually, I love the that whole sequence and her
Mm-hmm.
role in that sequence from that moment on made me look out for her in every scene that she was in. Not quite the big three, but you're right. I think she was
She
like the bench, the glue person
Hey, you
in
got to
that
have a
story.
bench player come up big in the big spots. That's what you need.
Oh yeah, this guy beat Brookes with bench guys in our fantasy basketball league. Shout out to Chris.
Dude, I had all bench guys. Oh man. All right. Anyway, to get to fantasy basketball. Um, let's talk about the production stuff because I was shocked. I was literally shocked watching this thing. Up front, you know, they had some nice scenery,
Budget.
some nice panning shots. It was fine. A lot of backstory and talking by Chris Pine. It was fine. It was going kind of just going along. And it wasn't until the owl bear showed up and I was like,
Mm,
"Oh, that's pretty cool looking."
Yeah, it was very cool, by the way. I thought.
She was the horse and then
very
she was
cool.
the owl bear and she beats up all the
Mm-hmm.
guys, and I know Justice Smith, they had a little bit of magic stuff before that, but I thought that owl bear looked particularly fantastic. um and then
Do you
and
know
like
the budget for this was 150 million, Chris,
they
for
did a
the
great
movie?
job on that. Like I would have expected another 50 mil tacked on top of that for what I saw. Now, not everything was perfect, but I thought it was everything fit in where it was supposed to be, and everything worked for me. So you have this fun dragon sequence that looked, I
The
thought was
Underdark.
fantastic
Put some
in
respect on the
the
Underdark's name.
Underdark. The Underdark was good in general, but fantastic sequence. That dragon looked great. Um, And on top of that, great choreography. Great choreography on the fight sequences that Michelle Rodriguez kicked ass in. Great sword fighting by what's his name? God, I almost got it long. Renee
Yeah, I
Jean
know you. The guy
Page.
from that British show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Renee Jean Page. You got it. Renee Jean
Right.
Page
He did a.
from Bridgerton.
I was waiting for them, like whenever he swung his sword, I was like, okay, it's gonna cut, and it didn't. I was like, oh my god, are we getting a real sword fight here? Like that was great. and then and then the whole maze sequence, running around, different monsters, a gelatinous cube, more animal shifting,
The Mimic Chest.
The mimic.
mimic
Yep.
chess. It was, as soon as it got going, it was like a momentum thing. Like it started off
Right.
slow, a lot of backstory, everybody telling you their sob story. It works, you need it, I get it, but it kind of just, and then once that ball started rolling and you got these great sequences, that mirror sequence, not mirror sequence, it's
Yeah,
a
it's a
portal,
portal. It's a portal. Yes,
portal gun.
yes. That's
So
something I've never seen or knew was possible in an actual D&D game until I, did some half-ass internet research. And in the fifth edition of D&D, that is a feature that certain characters, sorcerers can use, but not to the level that they use it in this movie. I mean, that was genius.
And when we talk about inventiveness, like we just watched John Wick 4, and it had some great inventiveness in the fight sequences. That whole portal gun of breaking into the way they were breaking in or breaking out of places was really interesting and inventive to watch. It makes that experience different than just like, oh, we can put a portal on this tree and then we can get into that wagon and we want to be there. No, they needed to be more inventive, more interesting. It gave the characters, all the individual characters, more interest because they had to figure stuff out. They had to work together when they had problems. That whole thing was fantastic.
Agree.
Did you guys, any of you guys, have a favorite sequence, a favorite action or magic sequence that really stuck out to you?
No, but
I
I'll tell
think
you
for
the
me,
one.
that go ahead.
Sorry, I'll tell you the one that did annoy me. I was talking about the druid. Is when she started out as a fly
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then turned into the mouse
And
and
then
did
back.
not turn back into a fly to get out. Turned into everything else, you know. Oh, she turned into a human.
A
She turned into a
human
mouse, crawled up in the armor, turned into a human for some
tried to
reason,
walk out, right?
and tried to walk out. And instead of turning into a
Yeah, but
fly,
you have to
anyway.
suspend disbelief. She's in a moment of shock and panic, and she's going through her mind. It honestly, you would probably make the same brain fart too. You know,
And what if she
like
I don't
I
know,
rolled?
have to.
but they didn't show her character like that the first battle when she was Owlbear, right?
Okay, so what if
So,
she rolled
Yeah,
to
but that was
turn?
a very. Go ahead,
What
Chris.
if
yeah,
she?
go
You
What
about to
if
say
she
something after
wanted
me?
to turn into a small animal and she rolled for a fly and didn't roll high enough, and she ended
okay,
up as a
I'll give
Yes,
rat
you that.
again?
yes,
And she's like, "Oh shit, I can
yes.
be a rat." Okay. Oh shit, I got to fly, and then she's got to turn into a flying animal, and then by the time she hits the ground, the red wizard's there again. So the
Yeah,
great thing
Yeah,
about a D&D game is there is no just, "Hey, I want to," and the movie is, "I want to do this, so this is going to happen." But I can see it in a game going, "Look, I want to be a fly. They can't catch me as a fly. Oh shit, I rolled a 3. What
there's
can I turn
something
into as a
that's
3?"
no, Chris. To your point, the one of the I think the best sequence with her character was when they're in the gelatinous. They're trapped after they already
Oh
seen the Easter
yeah,
egg cameo of our cartoon Dungeons and Dragons folks.
great
Right after that
cameo.
moment,
Great
yes,
moment.
I like
great
that.
cameo. They're trying to escape. They realize that they can't just keep winning through these levels. Eventually, they'll be killed.
Mm.
So Chris Pine character, who I thought was like a walking DM with his campaign group, was like, you know what, we need to find a way to get out of here. And she comes up with the plan of they're going to go through the gelatinous cube, and she
Right.
would transform herself at the right moment as a snake. But after she's already kind of created a pathway, so that in a smaller snake fashion, she can escape the cube and then reform back to human. I thought that was something like if you're playing, like right now, the four of us were playing, and let's say Keith was a DM,
Mm.
and you're like, you know what? I have an idea. And Keith was like,
uh,
I'll allow it.
Right.
No, roll for you
Right.
know.
Because you're going to be in the gelatinous cube, so you need to roll for your Constitution check. Then you need to roll for your
Yes.
magic transformation. What do you want to turn into? How fast can you turn into it? Are you going to be able to do it? Gelatinous cube. That's what's.
How many
I know
melees
it's
are
kind
gonna
of
attack?
it's
Yeah.
super geeky. It's super geeky, and that's kind of the fun of it, is trying to be inventive. And this movie handled that inventiveness.
I
All
agree.
right. Um,
All right.
what about, let's talk about the very generic, more fight scenes. I mentioned it. I just want to call out Michelle Rodriguez when that first fight scene with the they're tied up and they're about to cut off their heads, and she starts asking the guy how to take care of the axe, and then she gets up and she kicks everybody's ass. Great fight scene. Good use of environments. We talk about that when we watch action movies, how are they using their environments. Then she does the same thing, and she's in the armory, or the blacksmith shop, and she's
mhm.
great use of environments, great use of various weapons, not too much cutting, letting the action happen. I think that's really what sold me. As much as I liked the story and the characters were solid and the whole thing, I think the action so much better than I've seen in a lot of other movies recently. Um, notwithstanding something like John Wick. This is I hate I don't know how I'm comparing Dungeons and Dragons to John Wick,
John
but I
Wick.
am just in the
I mean,
inventiveness and the way they shot the action. I think they're two of the best that we've seen in a long time.
I think what we really helped Michelle Rodriguez's character is the fact that it's Michelle Rodriguez doing the performance,
Mm-hmm.
and she has that physical presence on screen. She's been doing it for almost her entire acting career. So it was very believable that she was going through those performances, the stunt choreography, the fight sequences throughout the entire movie, especially that last sequence before, spoiler alert, where she actually gets killed. Like
Mm.
that whole fighting sequence where between the sorcerer using his magic and the druid using her transformation and her physical hand-to-hand fight a red robe wizard. It was
Mm-hmm.
very believable because you felt like Michelle Rodriguez is that bad bitch. I don't know if it was a different actress, it would have been the same, but I think she carried it really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the last thing I'd ask you the humor in general. Did you guys find any belly laughs in there? Was it mostly just chuckles? Did you think it fit in general? Did it work for you?
I chuckled through most of the movie. I don't think I laughed too loudly at any one thing. Hugh Grant, I thought was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
He played that bad guy well. Um,
He
and
did.
Chris
He
Pine
felt
had his moments.
slimy.
Yeah. um,
What
but I
about
think I think every character contributed. So
the
it
Hulk
was
I've
smash
got a
moment?
moment.
Got me.
yeah.
The Hulk smash moment. What was that?
So at the end when they basically defeated the Red Wizard, her in her owl bear form
Right.
pulls a Hulk on
Oh
Loki.
yes, the Loki. Yeah, she did Loki. That was up there. My favorite was the skeleton cemetery scene.
Yes.
That was my out loud laugh moment because I mean, there's a couple things that's happening here. One, it's the fact that you're using a spell incantation to resurrect these corpses of knowledge
Mm.
while they were alive. But then you're giving me another little side story quest of what exactly happened in his backstory. And you're fun. It's funny the way they wrote it and the way they performed it. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
I gotta go to this corpse and find out the story from what this other guy said, and this doesn't make sense. I have to go back to this guy, and then the fact that you're not asking the questions in the right order, and you only have 5 questions. And I thought that was the for
Mm-hmm.
me not only laugh out loud funny, but also creative in writing.
Right.
Like you kept me entertained for something that would be seen really mundane in any other movie.
Yeah,
Oh, you got to talk to
absolutely.
the corpse, get the exposition. Get
Mm-hmm.
me the backstory on this magical weapon. But no, for like 5 to 7 minutes, it was its own little side quest, which I thought was very
And
interesting.
I like the few visual gags you got, like when they lift when he picks up the thing and he's got no bottom half of his body. Like it
And
was
you don't know
just
why until they show you the backstory. You're like,
mm.
oh shit.
So I guess bad guys, antagonists. We liked Hugh Grant in general, but he
Oh,
wasn't the
oh we
big
nitpick.
bad. I did like the fact that their purpose as a team wasn't to defeat the Red Wizards. They had their accomplishment, they had their stuff, they saved the daughter, they were done. And then they see the bad shit happening by the Red Wizards and they decide to turn around and save the day. I'm glad that wasn't their initial purpose. I like it. It does more for the character for it not to be. But did you
Right.
think the Red Wizards were interesting? Do you think they got enough to do? Cool
This
looking,
is where
at
to
least.
me the movie kind of it doesn't fall apart, but
Mm,
it becomes a little bit weak
hmm
for me. Is the antagonist, the villain, outside of Hugh Grant's I said Hugh Carey earlier. Hugh Grant some
Cary Grant.
performance.
Yeah.
Cary Grant. Oh my god, confusing. So I mean, me knowing what Red Wizards are like, taking that out of context, I think her power set and her sorcery and magic use was pretty
Mm,
well done. But the motivation and her character to me was like, oh, like you're like a cardboard cookie cutter type villain,
hmm hmm
And they dragged out the sequence of when. So after our main campaign group is escaping, they escape the tournament,
hmm
and Hugh Grant's character now considered he's winning. Meanwhile, he's about to escape, And then there's like a whole extra 5 minutes of just the tournament happening, and they're showing us all the rich, aristocrats that are there, and
Mm-hmm.
she's summoning Vecna from Stranger Things, and
Mm-hmm.
you almost forgot, you almost forget that whole plot that they
Right.
tell you
Yeah.
about in the beginning of the
Yeah, that
movie, and
that
I'm
scene
like, oh,
annoyed me because she started doing that all the thing, and those guys are just sitting there like,
sitting there like eating
yeah.
grapes and watching, like, is this part of the performance? What's happening here?
Yeah, and the timing, I felt the timing was a bit weird. Like they're in a
Yeah.
boat, they're heading out, they turn around, she's almost completed the damn spell.
Uh-huh.
And then
Yeah,
they're like,
and she
"Oh,
had no like henchmen. Like she
nope,
didn't have
no
any other
henchmen."
apprentice wizards
Oh, they
with
got
her that
killed.
would have definitely.
Well, she did, but they
They
sent
got
her.
killed in the Underdark.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that was
Mm.
stupid.
yeah.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Well,
Like
So
no,
she
I
couldn't replenish
it
her.
gave us the dragon, so the kitty dragon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Oh,
You're
we
right.
have to talk about Fat Dragon as well, guys, before we finish.
My favorite part of the entire movie.
Fat Dragon was awesome.
It
I have a question for you guys though. So in the beginning of the movie, she does this time stop spell, right? And they get stuck. Then she
right.
does it at the end, but they don't get stuck. I think I missed something. What happened there?
Justice Smith
What's
specifically
his name?
says I countered it.
Oh,
He
okay.
counted it
I missed that
because
line.
remember
So
he had his Rocky moment. Going right
Yeah.
into there, he finally believed in himself,
Well,
and
yeah.
was the Senate of being Eldminster, and he able.
Hmm.
But that was part of Chris Pine's plan.
mhm.
Yeah.
Bigger picture was Chris Pine had believed in him that he would become like the sorcerer he's meant to be.
Mhm.
So he had a little motivational speech, and his plan was, let's do this X, Y, and Z. But they don't show it on screen. Like we don't know that was a plan until what's her name is walking up to Chris Pine, and then he's like, "All right, performance is over. By the way, we were never really frozen. This is
Mhm.
exactly our plan. My daughter's invisible. Blah blah blah."
Oh yeah, she
Yeah.
That
put
was
the
a nice
bracelet on her.
twist.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a nicely well done
And they
little
didn't have to
twist there.
explain it. Like I got it.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do a flashback or anything like that. Um I guess the last I would say is the one thing I thought was really left behind was the daughter character. Like they just completely she was a motivation for Chris Pine, but other than that,
Child actors.
just completely ignored as a character. Like didn't go on an adventure early with them or anything like that. She got
Well,
this
they did
cool.
show her as a kid when they were stealing, and she was going through the doggy doors and
Yeah,
whatever.
I guess so.
So.
I just thought it was too bad because that emotional spot at the end where she's like, "Mom," like that worked for me, but
Hmm.
I really think it would have been hit even harder if she had been more of a character to us.
Yeah,
I guess,
Yeah,
that
I
didn't
think
work for me.
I think
That didn't
yeah.
work for me.
If she had joined the group a little earlier, maybe
or we saw
probably
her
could
more
have.
with Hugh Grant, like or something,
Yeah, yeah,
some
Yeah, and
more.
her whole arc about her not liking her dad because her dad had quote unquote abandoned her. I'm like, this doesn't feel like
It
it
felt
doesn't feel
weak.
authentic.
No, it did
Yeah,
feel a little weak. So it was probably the weakest part for me.
right.
Then like you said, James, a flat villain, very basic, but everything else from that were really well done. So
agreed.
if you guys don't have anything else you want to call out, I'm gonna ask for some grades.
I don't think I have anything else. Like I said, I loved Fat Dragon.
Fat Dragon.
Bring me more Fat Dragon in the
He's
sequel.
got a name. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
he's actually based on a character in
Yeah,
D&D
Hmm.
that's seldom used.
I
We'll
know. I
talk
can't
about it
remember what
later.
it is
But
either.
making him not
Post
move
credit.
like sluggish, making him run like a fat cat chasing a rat.
Right.
Thimbershard. His name is Thimbershard,
Okay.
That
and
doesn't
he's
sound
in actual D&D. Yeah,
Hmm.
all right. That's good.
Pudgy Red Dragon. They call him Pudgy, so don't fat
They did
shame.
call him
Might
Pudgy.
keep calling him fat. Mike, we already got issues with the whale review. Don't make this
That's
another
right.
one.
We are not fat shaming the whales or the dragons.
Sorry, more really obese dragon.
What was your grade, Mike? Did you
I didn't
announce
give
your
my
grade?
grade yet. I can give my grade now. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna go. So besides the couple things that bugged me in the movie, overall I really enjoyed this. Actually, more than I thought I would because that '93 Dungeons and Dragons put a bad taste in my mouth for D&D movies.
93. Holy shit.
Wow.
And but I'm gonna go ahead and give this an A minus.
Yeah.
Uh, More impressed with it than I thought I would be.
Yeah. All right, James.
Before I get my grade, real quick, shout out to the Underdark. For those of you who don't know, Keith and I are massive fans of the Forgotten Realms sector of
Mm.
Dungeons and Dragons. So it's like the X-Men universe of the Marvel universe is the Forgotten Realms. And one of the greatest characters ever created, Dritz, comes from the Underdark. So that one little 15-minute sequence of the Underdark to me hurt because it felt like just like a throwaway. But we did get the dragon. We did get the
And the best sword
Morguleo
fight.
Beast Dragon and the best sword fight. So that to me almost, Dean Winchester supernatural tear in my eye. So that being said, taking account the villains and some of the plots at the end, I'm gonna give it an A minus as well. I'm gonna go with Mike on this one. A minus.
Nice. All right. So I guess that leaves me. I really had so much fun watching this. I was so excited to go see this in the theater. I specifically forced my entire family to go. So
Aww.
when I got up to the counter to buy the popcorn, the guy goes, "Are you a DM?" I'm like, "Do I really look?" Thanks.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. What T-shirt were you wearing when you went to go see it?
I think I was just wearing like a Batman T-shirt. So like,
That'll
All
do it.
right. They didn't have any Cheez-Its or cheese puffs. He looked at you. Was like, "Are you a DM?"
you're a
That's
DM.
our secret code.
You-
A secret handshake behind the counter.
No, I had so much fun with this. The fat dragon was hysterical. I it just Renee Jean Page was a surprise delight. Um, and the
Oh,
practical.
hold on, real quick. The other laugh out loud funny moment was Renee Jean Page when he's walking away as a paladin,
Oh, he's
and Chris Pine is like
voiceovering his
audio
walking away.
voiceover, and he's like, "Is he gonna walk right through it?" Nope. I mean, yep,
Over.
yeah, he walked right through
He
it.
walked right over
That
the
I
rock.
laughed out loud
All right.
for.
Yeah.
I get Chris. Sorry.
That's all right. No, he was good, but it reminds me of the practical effects in this. The monster, like the dragon people, the dragonborns, was all practical. And then that like cat person where the baby cat was inside the
Catfish,
the fish.
literally
Yeah,
catfish.
the catfish. That was all practical. I was like, oh, that's great. So they mixed the two things well. I thought that
Yeah.
was fantastic, and I definitely have to shout out the VFX people that way. I'm gonna. I said I A minus. I can't deny. I really enjoyed it. I had a
Wow,
great time. We all went the same route. I think it, like you said, it could have been a little bit
three
stronger
of a kind.
with the bad guy, and the daughter character, and even Chris Pine. Like the marketing told me Bard, and I'm very annoyed that there was no Bard isms. There was no magic music. He had the lute the whole
Wait,
time.
hold on. There was a sequence he did do a music, but it was an incantation where
With
it
the
really
hologram.
wasn't him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hologram. That
Mm-hmm.
to me was like, I thought it was like, oh, here we go. We finally get a little barterism.
I
Not a
felt
word, but
gypped that we didn't get. It was like when we saw the Hulk in um,
in game,
Infinity War in the
Infinity War.
marketing, and he wasn't there.
Not
Yeah.
that bad. No, it wasn't that bad.
I want more Bard. Okay, so I want next time. I want more of these movies, but I don't just want this group. I want one person from this group to get a new group and go on a new adventure. I want to like snowball to different places. Like I
Mm.
don't want I want Chris Pine to settle down with his daughter, have a great life, whatever.
They're gonna take what's his name, John Rene Page's
Yeah,
character,
have
and
That would
him
be
kill
go
off the
good.
do
campaign
something.
I would
early.
watch that.
Have
Yeah.
Yeah.
the give our druid a chance to sing as a character. Have
Dude,
her
don't be
go off.
surprised if Vin Diesel comes in this franchise because we all know him in Hollywood. He's been a
There's a
D and
Yeah.
couple.
D fan
Oh yeah,
since
there. I
before
wouldn't
he was an
mind
actor.
as long as he's
I
not.
just saw Mike roll his eyes. I saw Mike. I saw you roll your eyes when I
Who
said
else is the?
that.
There's another guy who plays
um.
it.
Oh, I have his T-shirt here. I was
DC.
gonna wear it,
He's
but it's
in like
where
the
he.
DC guy.
Yes, he played Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. Yeah.
He's married to the
Oh,
actress
Manganiello. Joe
from Modern
Manganiello.
Family.
Yeah.
Yes, I have his shirt. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna wear it today for the podcast, but
Yeah,
it's
he's a
dirty.
huge D&D
Yes,
fan. Yep.
That's right.
he runs active campaigns. Even
Yep.
during COVID, he was running active campaigns.
So yeah, get those guys in there that have a blast. I think these kind of properties, for lack of a better word, where they're going to let actors come in and just have a good time. I think they can create a certain type of movie that you don't get when you're trying to make these really bold, serious decisions, which we love. We love a good, bold, serious Star Wars and or whatnot. But this kind of movie is just its own special thing that I think you can see how much fun everybody has and how inventive they let the writers and directors and actors be in these movies.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, I think that's it for us for the week. Mike, where can they find us? Where can they tell us about their D&D characters that they grew up with?
As usual, all over the internet at Heroes Peak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
While Twitter is still active.
Yeah, I guess.
Hold on. For my Heroes Peak family, Keith, I asked him what was his grade. He goes, I liked it. B plus. The
Nice.
copy was shitty, so I may be grading with a slight curve. He
Damn,
did not
those.
enjoy the screener's copy from
That's
the
right. Those
studio,
DVD screeners are tough sometimes.
Yeah.
but he gave it a B plus.
I mean,
So
who still has a DVD player, right? So
yeah, sure. Well, that's probably why he thought it was shitty. I mean,
yeah,
not shitty, but not A
Right.
minus.
He didn't get the full spectacle that I got in the theater.
exactly.
All
All right,
right,
everybody.
thanks.
Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week.
All right. Night.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.